Prepare yourself for the terror. The prison of madness, where few enter and none return.
Welcome to Unsung Horrors. With Lance. And Erica.
Leave all your sanity behind. It can't help you now.
Welcome to another episode of Unsung Horrors, the podcast where we discuss underseen horror films, specifically those which have fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. I'm Erica.
I'm Lance.
And before we get into this week's episode, next month is October.
Yes.
Which means it's time for our annual Horror Gives Back charity challenge, where we ask folks to donate $1 or more per horror movie that they watch during the month of October to a fundraiser that either we have set up for Best Friends Animal Society, or you can donate to a charity of your choice. And we had plenty of people do the latter last year. You can follow our list of prompts. You can just watch whatever you want and keep your own tally. You can use somebody else's challenge list, however you want to do it. The main point of it is the charity aspect. Last year, we raised over $2,500 for Best Friends Animal Society.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's nuts to think about.
Yeah, we have the best listeners, and I think we've got even more people participating this year, which I'm really excited about. So we did want to just cover the categories for the challenge that we've set up really quickly, just for a quick explainer for any of them. We'll also post it on our Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and our Discord has already gotten a copy of it, so they know what's in it.
Join the Discord if you haven't yet.
Yes, join the Discord, folks. You can share dummy drops that you've seen. You can tell me about dead kids that I haven't seen yet. You know, it's good times.
If you have suggestions for movies for us to cover,
which we'll never listen to, but you can write them. You can put them in there.
I will do Adam's request, I think, at some point for Enigma Logger.
I figured
it's too good.
It is. I would be happy to do that episode. Okay, so we're just going to go through the categories really quick, and then we will jump into the movie. If you want to skip this, you can. It should only take a minute or so. All right, so day one is going to be Universal Horror. Obviously, if you can do like the earlier stuff, that'd be great. But if you want to punish yourself and watch, was it the Tom Cruise Mummy movie that came out a few years ago? They tried to like reinvent that whole thing.
Oh,
anyway,
that's a good one.
You do you, but we put Lance put the beautiful calendar together as he does every year. And anyway, I'm talking too much. It's only the first category. All right. So day one, Universal Horror. Day two, sequel. Day three, Philippines. We have a couple people excited about this for a category already. Number 4 is birth year. So a horror movie from the year that you were born. Day 5 is 90s horror. Day 6 is vampires. Day 7, 50s horror. Day 8, Spain. Day 9 is the Unsung Horrors rule, so a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. Day 10, Michael Ironside. Day 11, Ghosts. Day 12, Physical Media. And if you don't collect your own, if you don't have any of your own, borrow something, library, however you want to do that. Day 13 is 60s horror. Day 14, Australia. And day 15 is In Memoriam. So that's watch a horror movie to honor the memory of somebody who has passed. I would also suggest, besides actors, directors, writers, composers, people who actually make films, that there are some people that you could potentially honor who are involved with film. So a few of my picks this year are centered around Lee Gambin, who passed away and contributed a lot of special features to a lot of physical media releases. So Bill Ackerman actually put together a list of all of his special features work on his Letterboxd profile. I'll link that in show notes in case anybody else wants to take a look at that and maybe use that for that category.
That's good. Second half of Horror Gives Back. So series episode, this is kind of a break from full-length feature movies, something from Hammer, House of Horror, Twilight Zone, usually they run, about an hour or even less.
Yeah, Tales from the Crypt. Even you can do a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror if you want.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the 17th is Pick a Lance. So
this is
October
my favorite
17th,
category.
October 17th is my birthday. That hence, Pick a Lance. Initially, it was just like any, Lance filmmaker, cast member. There's Henriksen, there's Guest, there's Lance Fuller, there's, the obvious choices. But in Discord, a lot of people are like, is this something that like Lance would like or recommend, like on an episode we covered, or even have Lance in the title, like Ambulance, Larry Collins. So yeah, just however you interpret it. Then we have Bleeding Skull, which we've done, I think, the last couple of years. Yeah. Anything from their site, anything from their books, anything they've, recommended or done a write-up on. They have plenty of releases now coming out. Animal Attacks is 19. Then we have 1980s horror. On the 21st, we have Karen Black.
Hell yeah.
The 22nd is Mexico, which is always one of my favorite themes every October. I love watching Mexican horror. Then, of course, we have Hail Satan. The 24th is Black and White, so anything that's shot in black and white in an older film, could be newer. Then we have Made for TV movie. On the 26th is 1970s horror. The 27th was the category that I had to include, The Sweetest Taboo. Anything from Erica's book, anything from her even more child kills list on Letterboxd, anything that has a child kill.
Yeah, put the links to those two lists on Letterboxd and show notes as well for folks.
Thousands of movies to choose from in those lists.
Yes.
The 28th, Gothic horror. The 29th, we have classic slasher. Then we have Hammer Time, Hammer horror. And then, of course, on October 31st is the viewer's choice selection. So very excited with these categories. A lot of them are repeats, but we have a lot of new ones that I'm excited to have on the list. Join Discord, like we said, because everybody's sharing their lists, which, they're all tentative. They'll be changing. I've already created a list, but I'm keeping it secret because it's going to change.
I'll share mine when this episode comes out. Well, actually, I might share once your next episode comes out, because one of my picks is a rewatch, and that's my next episode pick.
October pick.
Yeah, so,
which I have on my list for one of these categories.
Yeah, see, so we're gonna wait till Lance's next episode.
Okay, I'll post mine when you post yours.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Deal.
I'll also put a link to the fundraiser in show notes. It is technically live already, but it will run through November 2nd. I know most people make their donations after the month is over, because a lot of people are like, I don't know how many movies I'm going to watch. But if you just want to make a flat donation, you want to throw in $5-10, that's great too. All right, so on to our movie. This episode, we are going to be talking about Gerard Damiano's Legacy of Satan from 1974. As of this recording, it has 769 views on Letterboxd and is currently streaming on Tubi. It did have a Code Red Blu-ray release, which is what you'll see on Tubi. So it's cleaned up, but Code Red didn't do really full restorations. They were just about getting stuff out there. So
yeah, it does. It looks great though. It does. Definitely.
It looks fine. You can see the wallpaper, and that's the most important thing in this film.
Very impressive room decor. Screaming 70s. I love it.
Yes. Okay, so Legacy of Satan is just really simply, it's about a satanic cult led by a Dr. Moldavo. They have selected a young woman named Maya to be their next queen through a series of ceremonies, chants, and a costume party. They lure her in, but first they have to detach her from her husband, George.
Yeah, good old George.
I like George.
I do too.
I like him and his sword.
Give me more sword. What's the backstory of this damn thing? We'll get to that.
We will. All right. So Legacy of Satan was written, directed, and edited by Gerard Damiano. I re-listened to an episode of the Rialto Report, the podcast episode about him. It was specifically an interview with him before he passed away in 2008 at the age of 80. I highly recommend it. It's under an hour. He's an interesting person. The majority of the films that he made were sex films. But he did want to be a filmmaker. He was raised Catholic. He was married with 2 children. He ran a beauty salon in Queens. And he did that because he went into the army and he used his GI Bill to become an X-ray technician. But then later on, a friend had told him he was going into beauty school because, if you were a straight male, then it was basically like shooting fish in a barrel to them. So he went to beautician school and then opened his own salon. His accountant for the salon connected him with a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker, and he started volunteering on set for a few years, which is where he learned to actually make films and sort of got his foot in the door and started making them himself. So I'm not going to get too far into his career as far as like the sex films and everything like that, because there's a lot of information on Deep Throat, especially the making of the film, how much money it made, where that money came from that funded it, and who made all the money, the relationship between, its star Linda Lovelace and her husband, Chuck Traynor. And there's a lot there.
Yeah.
And for most of that, there's Linda Lovelace's own book. There's that Lovelace movie that had Amanda Seyfried, and
Yes.
it had, I can't remember the guy's name. I think it's like Adam Brody or something like that, playing Harry Reams, and I was just like, this is
Adam Brody from what was that called? The OC?
Yeah,
Yeah.
him. He plays Harry Reams, and I'm like, this is just no. No.
I mean, they have the like same hair, and
No, and then who was it? James Franco was playing Hugh Hefner, and like
James Franco he's probably played everybody in every movie.
Yeah,
that dude. So is it a good movie? Is it okay?
It's okay. My problem with it is it takes the way that they tell her story is weird. Like they tell it one way from one point of view where it seems like she's enjoying everything that she's doing, and then it backs up and retells pretty much the whole same thing we just watched, but from a different point of view, which I don't think is really the best way to do this. And Liz's review is actually probably the best one I saw with regard to this
Liz
film.
Purcell?
Yeah, Liz Purcell, I'm sorry. So she wrote about it. She gave it a 0.5 star. So she said, Epstein and Friedman's documentary backgrounds really show in their use of archival material, not just in clips of Carson making blowjob jokes, but the actual variety ads and box office listing used in montages, which just makes everything else about this wildly misleading and inaccurate movie all the more shocking and disappointing. So I think Seyfried, I actually like her. I think she's a really good actress. And I think she did a really good job in this. And the guy, I can't remember the guy's name who played Chuck Traynor, but I think he's a great dickhead in this. But there's just too much like misinformation in how it's represented, because yes, like she wrote this book and said all these horrible things happened to me, but then she became this sort of, I'm going way off tangent. We're not even getting to the movie yet.
Oh, Peter Sarsgaard was.
Peter Sarsgaard. Okay. That's who it is. Yeah, I like him too. And so there's a whole thing about like how, towards the end of her life, she was like, no, there's nothing wrong with the pornography industry itself. Like, this is just my personal experience kind of thing. So that all that information is out there. I don't want this to be an episode about Deep Throat and their whole relationship and all of that, but there is a lot there, and it is all very interesting.
It is.
I do want to share a couple things though, because I have this book and I feel like I have to share a couple things. So I have Darwin Porter's Inside Linda Lovelace's Deep Throat, Degradation, Porno Chic, and the Rise of Feminism. So there's a few quotes in here that I thought were funny. Truman Capote to Tennessee Williams. I went to see Deep Throat in a movie theater on Duval Street in Key West. I don't know what all the excitement is about. I can swallow bigger cocks than that. Cheers to you, sir.
Respect.
All right. Lucille Ball to Ethel Merman. The reason I attended a showing of Deep Throat in Los Angeles was because I suspected that Desi has had a fling with her. Frankly, I wanted to see the girl's technique. I didn't want to lose Gary Morton the way I'd lost Desi. After I saw the movie, I knew I could never top her. You see, I have this gag reflex.
Holy cow. Now I'm visualizing giving her, her giving it a go.
Yeah, that whole candy scene on the thing, shoving candies in her mouth gives you a whole other...
What a crazy time, though, because this was like the hugest movie in the country. It's like in 1972 was Deep Throat, right? Which was...
And 72 is Deep Throat. 73, Damiano directed Devil and Miss Jones.
Yes.
And then this was Legacy of Satan, and one of his other really great porn films, Memories Within Miss Aggie, were both 1974. And then his absolute best film ever, Let My Puppets Come, 1976.
Yeah, I had read too that he filmed Legacy of Satan in 1972, and it wasn't released until 74. So I guess the same time before his movies were so huge and he was making so much money for him and the producers with Deep Throat and all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, Damiano himself wasn't making any money. And you can see the budget in this film, which is fine. We don't knock movies for not having a budget. We knock them for being boring. If you are boring, we wouldn't cover a movie if we were boring.
Yeah, I might knock this movie a little for that.
That's it. I give you that. It does have those moments, but there's, we can just talk about wallpaper for the next 20
or how
minutes.
unnatural these first time cast members are, which benefits the viewing experience.
I think it kind of does. I think it adds to the trance of it. But so his other films, Deep Throat, Devil and Miss Jones, Memories Within Miss Aggie. I mean, he has plenty of other sex films. I think those are the ones worth talking about.
For sure.
You logged a couple of these recently. Now, did you explain to Sarah, I'm doing podcast research? How did this conversation at home go?
No, she never saw them. I watched them late at night with my AirPods full blast, looking over my shoulder just in case there was a walk by. I mean, no, I told her I was watching some pornos, but she doesn't care if I watch an adult film here and there.
Okay. I mean, I didn't think so, but I didn't.
But I mean, she would ask questions if she's walking by and, there's Lovelace, showing off her technique real close up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Devil and Miss Jones, I logged. I had never seen. I've already gushed about Georgina Spelvin and her performance in Chuck Vincent's Bad Blood, which has been one of my favorite watches of the year, new discoveries for me. Yeah, I love that movie. I could have used more of the storyline, her, fulfilling all her sexual fantasies, which is a huge plot and the main focus on the movie. But, the beginning and the setup and then the finales are just great, where the director, Gerard Damiano, comes out, which it's funny that you brought up. I didn't know about his salon days, but he's, the man in the cell at the very end. Yeah. He's also popping up at the beginning. It looked like a hairpiece to me. I mean, it's very stylized. It looks great. Yeah. He looks like a hairstylist, like a salon. And I was like, who is this guy? And then I looked him up and I was like, oh, it's Damiano. And he's kind of a compelling guy, the way he looks and stuff.
He's interesting too. Like the interview that Ashley West did with him for the Rialto Report, he's a captivating person to listen to. Yeah. But it's also, you have to balance that with the fact that, he'll say things like, oh yeah, Chuck brought Linda in and, had her, show me her technique, and by that, by then I'd had thousands of blowjobs. So
yeah, no, you have to know that there is, there's a little bit of grossness involved.
Of course. Yeah. And it's I'm not judging anyone for whatever anyone's doing, but there's a lot going on there, and we're not here to pass judgment on what they're doing unless you're being an absolute, Harvey Weinstein shitbag like Chuck Traynor was. So, all right. So one thing I did think was interesting, when you look up images of this, one of the posters you're most likely to find is this film on a double bill with Andy Milligan's Blood. Yeah. So it did play as a double feature with that film. That is not my double feature pick. I've already used that one.
Yeah, you picked that one. That's right.
I've used up my Milligan already.
That's another request we've had, is doing a Milligan episode, but that's too much.
That's a lot. I did talk to, speaking of Liz, I did talk to her when I was in New York. I know we've tried to get her and just haven't been able to sync that up yet, but she is still interested. So
good.
Maybe I'll talk her into a Milligan episode because I know she loves it.
Oh, yeah. That would be great.
So if we
Let her do all the work.
I know, but Liz, can you just come on and talk about Andy Milligan, please? So the original music, Arlen Ober and Mel Zelniker, on IMDb, it says creator, electronic rhythms. Ober composed on Bloody Birthday, The Incredible Melting Man, X-Ray, and Eating Raoul.
Eating Raoul, Paul Bartel, and Mary Warnoff.
Yeah. So these droning synth sounds, if nothing sticks with you, that like I still hear it in my head right now because after like a quick rewatch last night, I'm still like it won't leave my head.
Yeah, no, I was reading. I mean, obviously, I think it's the star of the movie for me.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's the most memorable part of the movie for sure. And it's 1972. I don't know if the music might have been added later on, closer to the 74 release date, but it's kind of pioneer, like groundbreaking work. 1972. There's no. I'm sure we can find some movies, and I bet some of our listeners can point some out. But going this hard with these Moog synths at this time it's kind of jarring. Like it's as soon as the movie starts with those awesome credits, you're kind of settling. It's total atmosphere. The opening, I'm kind of totally checked out because the music and the titles are so great.
Yeah.
The High Priestess has given us like a 5-minute, just like backstory, just content dump of like Rakesh and every 1,000 years. And I'm totally checked out.
Yeah. None of that. I every time I've watched this 3 times. First time, I think same for you and I at Terror Tuesday.
Yeah, about 7 years ago.
And then rewatched recently, like a few weeks ago or a month ago. And then rewatched last night. Same thing. Every time I watch the fucking opening, I cannot pay attention to what she's saying because I'm just stuck on like I'm hearing the drone, the synth. I just can't.
Yeah, the rituals happening, all the beautiful women in the gowns. That's what I'm sold on.
Yeah.
A big, kind of narrative, just dialogue up front never really works for me, especially when they're talking about like, thousands of years ago, it's just, but the music, the score by Ober and then Zellniker, who went on to do sound for a bunch of bangers, Coen Brothers, Blood Simple, Raising Arizona, Stephen King's Maximum Overdrive. Yeah. And Ober also did The Incredible Melting Man. I don't know if you said.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That one is one of my personal favorites as well. But I read a funny review where somebody called their work in this Legacy of Satan, quote, an audio nightmarish annoyance.
How dare you, sir?
How dare you? But the music is the star of the movie for me.
I think so too. If he didn't get anything right, at least if he's brand new to making movies at this point, this is the beginning of his career. And he at least got this aspect of it completely right.
And this is the first work for both of them. This is their first movie that they've worked on as far as score. So that's really impressive.
Yeah. And then last, as far as the crew goes, cinematography by Joao Fernandez, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, original Children of the Corn. Sorry, you didn't get to do part 3, guy.
Or part 2.
Final
Final Sacrifice, the best.
The Prowler, The Prey, which was one of your double feature picks recently. He's done a bunch of Chuck Norris movies like Invasion USA. He worked with Damiano again on Deep Throat, Devil and Miss Jones, Memories Within Miss Aggie, and one of my personal favorite sex films, Through the Looking Glass. He also shot Doris Wishman's Let Me Die a Woman. And then a couple of movies that I watched new to me this week. The first was The Kirlian Witness from 1978, which is about a plant that is a witness to a murder.
Oh, I saw you log that, and it sounds amazing. Like
I wish it was. It's 1978, and so it's the 70s. Talk to your plants, like weird Kirlian photography, like see someone's aura type bullshit type thing,
right.
And so it's worth watching because it's such an odd premise where a woman's sister is murdered, but this one plant is on the rooftop when she's murdered. And so the sister is like trying to learn how to communicate with plants.
And it's all played straight.
It's 100% played straight. And that's why it's so interesting. It's on YouTube. It's short. It's worth watching just for the fucking weird premise that it is.
Do you get a plant voice? Is there talking?
No, you don't.
Okay.
That's not how plants communicate, Lance. They're playing it straight. If you get a plant voice, then you're not taking it seriously.
It's the leaves and the wind.
It's like it. they do like, you know how they do the lie detector test with like the thing.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, she figures out how to communicate, and she can like communicate telepathically with it, and she visually sees what happens to her what happened to her sister. I know. I know.
I was hoping for like an Audrey too, like, hey, your sister was killed. I saw who did it.
That would have been amazing. All right. Then the other one I watched from Fernandez was Twisted Desire from 1996. And I feel like I watched it and I was like, I feel like I might have seen this when it came out. In 96, I would have been in high school. And I might have sort of been the target audience for it. Melissa Joan Hart. And it's based on a true story about this high school girl who gets her boyfriend, who's an ex-con, but a super nice guy, to murder her parents. And then she just basically manipulates the whole situation, frames him, basically like makes him take the fall for it, all this stuff.
Clarissa plans it all.
Yes.
That was
Jesus Christ. So very Lifetime movie. And this is the kind of Lifetime trash that I fucking love. Like, this is like, I don't know if it's stalked by my doctor territory, but it's up there with that. And you know what I love the most about it? 1996, movie about a girl, and I mean, it's based on a true story too. You know, movie about a girl doing something to get her parents killed. And I was talking to John about it later, and I was like, you know what I miss? I miss the one thing I miss about the 90s. You know, I don't miss the horror movies from the 90s, but I do miss how hard teenagers used to go. Menendez brothers, like, you remember, like, all this shit, like, this fucking teenagers used to, like, fucking do some shit. You know, I'm not talking about, like, some horrific stuff that's happened recently.
Right. No, this is like a period where there's serious planning and conniving and just hiding, you know, evidence. It's big time.
Yeah. And, like, nowadays, like, if a fucking kid wanted to kill their parents, they'd ask their parents to do it for them.
Right.
You know? Anyway, I miss when teenagers used to go hard.
Yeah, so Joao Fernandez, you already mentioned he shot a couple of Doris Wishman films,
Mm-hmm.
Love Toy, Let Me Die a Woman. He also acted a bit. He starred in Doris Wishman's The Amazing Transplant.
Did he?
From 1971.
I didn't even look at that drop down.
Credited as Juan Fernandez, and I watched it. I'm still going through, I'm having such a blast going through those AGFA Something Weird sets, Doris Wishman sets.
Yeah.
So I popped this one on the other night. And he looks like Bobby Cannavale. Do you know who he is?
Yeah. He's in the Lovelace movie.
He's in Lovelace?
Yeah. He plays one of the gangsters.
Oh, okay. He's not like Joel's not in it. Like Fernandez is not in it.
Actually, no, I think he's just one of the gangsters.
Okay. Well, when I saw him pop up, I was like, oh my God, that's Bobby Cannavale. But like he's the star in it. Obviously, it's called The Amazing Transplant, and it's about he goes over to an old girlfriend's place to propose.
Oh, wait, maybe I'm thinking of somebody different.
Bobby Cannavale, he's in Boardwalk Empire. He is in Lovelace. I saw he was in Lovelace.
Okay.
He's in the Ant-Man movie. He's married to Rose Byrne, that Australian actress.
Is he?
Yeah.
Huh. Good for him.
Yeah. I think I like her a lot.
Okay.
She's great.
Yeah.
I like him a lot too. I first saw him in Boardwalk Empire, and I was like,
okay,
this guy's going to be a star.
Okay,
anyway, but Fernandez in The Human Transplant, he goes over to an old girlfriend's house to propose to her, and then they start having sex, and he seemingly accidentally chokes her to death, which is like real, like, it's an odd opening to the movie. It's, it's a great mystery setup. And then his uncle, who is a detective, takes on the case, and he starts interviewing all these women that he's known. And he finds out that the last couple of weeks he's been coming over to, visiting them, and then kind of loses it, blacks out, and just rapes them. So they're like, yeah, he's psycho. Like, I don't know what's going on with him. Anyways, we find out that he had a penis transplant from an old best friend that had passed away, and he wanted his penis. And that's what's causing him to like black out and do these horrific rapes and murders.
So it's like The Hands of Orlok.
Yeah.
But it's
penis. Yeah. And it's fun. Like, the transplant scene is worth watching.
That's amazing.
It's a very short movie, but he's just, all they do is numb it, and he's just talking to the doctor the whole time. Like, when is this? Are you almost done, doc? Like, almost. The doc's like twisting his arm, like working on, like, cranking on.
Yikes.
It's worth watching, but yeah. having such a blast with the Doris Wishman sets, and I recommend The Amazing Transplant.
Awesome.
But yeah, he's quite the actor. He's compelling to watch.
Okay. Check it out. Anyone else on crew you wanted to talk about?
So I did notice the special effects was by Tom Brumberger, who did the makeup effects for Christmas Evil, Alone in the Dark, Don't Go in the House, and Death Promise, which has like the most amazing, hilarious fight scenes ever. But I thought that was interesting. The effects in here, there's a good makeup job at the end. And then there's a glowing sword maybe that he has a part in. But
I would say probably just like the makeup.
The Moldavo, the melting face, the pussy face. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that this guy did some. Christmas Evil is a fun movie too. But
it's the greatest Christmas horror movie.
Is it?
Black Christmas. No, fuck. I always do that. Yeah, it's a toss up between those two for me.
Yeah, I would probably say Black Christmas over Christmas Evil.
I don't know. I just like how like scuzzy Christmas Evil is.
And isn't that Fiona Apple's dad or something that plays the Santa? There's some connection there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm not going to spend much time on the cast because they're all kind of one and done.
Yeah.
And
I appreciate
they're not great in this, but they do their best. John Francis plays Dr. Moldavo. Lisa Christian plays Maya, and Paul Berry plays George.
I do want to point out what's her name, Aurelia, who's my favorite actor or character in this.
Yeah,
is played by Ann Paul, and she was the makeup artist on Last House on the Left and Alice, Sweet Alice.
Oh,
and there's another connection with Last House. Sandra Peabody plays one of the cult members in this.
I did see her. Yeah, like I just saw a cult member, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know which one you are.
And then obviously, all relative unknown actors. But there is an actress, Krista Helm, is credited as the blonde Blood Farm in this.
Yeah.
And she was murdered in West Hollywood a couple years later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, some interesting cast members. None of them really went on to do anything. But the people that did, it has kind of an interesting backstory.
Yeah. I think, you mentioned like the star of this is really the score. The interesting story behind this is who directed it, the man who made the quote unquote Citizen Kane of sex films.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and honestly, if I'm going to be real, like Deep Throat, I get why it was such a huge phenomenon, but as far as like actual sex films go, it's not that great. Like,
no.
I actually like Devil and Miss Jones more. I like Memories with Miss Aggie a lot more. It's not even close to like my favorite sex film.
Right. No, yeah, I agree. Like, it's not, if you're going to watch a movie for sex, this, this really isn't it.
Yeah.
I think the huge draw was because like it was like the first mainstream with the plot and reading Lovelace's, history of the film and her being a born again. And like it has a troubled, production history, but to me, it's like a wholesome, hardcore porn. Like it's very kind
goofy.
of uplifting.
It's funny. Like Harry Reams is hilarious in that. And like, it's just, I don't know. It's just silly. Like rewatching it, I was just like, yeah, it's cute. Like, it's like a cute porn.
It is. Yeah. Like that's where I'm like, yeah. And I'm watching it all happen. And I'm like, this is good for her. Like, this is sweet. But then you read the history. It's like,
you're like, yeah.
But you do get kind of an adult film feel in Legacy of Satan. You're kind of waiting for those moments because there are a lot of scenes that feel like set up to, okay, this is when they're going to start fucking.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you don't really, there's no nudity at all. There's no fucking.
There's zero nudity. But yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely certain scenes and even shots that it feels like this is about to be a sex film, or maybe he shot it with the intention of it being a sex, because it is short. It's 70 minutes. So you very well could have thrown in 10, 15, even 20 minutes of, fuck scenes. There's a scene when the priestess is chanting over Maya. She's having a dream, but in her dream, she's in this white dress, and the shot is like from her, like you're looking directly at her crotch, and like she's writhing around. There's a scene with the servant at the very end. He's got the Harry Reams mustache, and his throat gets cut. Like there's a lot of scenes like that I feel like, yeah, this feels like a Damiano sex film minus the sex. It's like smut without smut.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that guy with the servant with the mustache reminded me of that guy that gets shot over and over again in slow motion in Karate Girl. Like when he popped up, I'm like, that can't be. That's a Turkish movie, and I'm like, there's no way this guy.
No, that'd be amazing though.
But I did read Bleeding Skull and some other sites mention this in their write-up about Legacy of Satan, which is it was initially conceived and filmed as a hardcore porn, but those, I don't know if they were edited out and changed, and the producers were like, you can make more money maybe if it's just horror specific, which really wouldn't make sense because adult films are really blowing up at that point. But I don't see, if you look at the cast of First Time, there's no adult film stars in this, so I don't think it is a porno. Like I don't think it was shot as a hardcore film.
I read that too from Bleeding Skull, and so I don't know. I can see it going either way. Like it makes sense that it wouldn't be because there are no adult film stars in it, but at the same time, it is, like you said, very slow and boring. And sex films aren't known for their plot, and like just sort of like talking about like what we're gonna do next kind of thing happening. And that's very common with those. I mean, but it could also just be like Damiano wrote and directed this, and so that's like he's just not a great writer, really.
Because I mean, there is no interesting character in this at all.
No,
none of the. I think Aurelia is the most interesting character. She can't speak. She can't speak. She has like a kind of like a Mary Warnoff looking kind of persona to me that I just kind of I was like, okay, this is my girl. But she just kind of saved the day at the end. But I mean, George is so kind of defeated and milquetoast, and he's just getting walked over by Maya, who I can't stand.
No, I don't.
I hate her.
I'm not rooting for her. I'm like, honey,
I don't want to go. Okay, I want to go. It's just like, I love the scene where they're, he saves the day and they're running with a sword. And she's like, will you put that thing down? It's hurting my eyes. But, that's when she's become evil at that point. But everybody in this is just boring as fuck. There's especially the men. The men are like so forgettable. They all kind of bleed together physically. And I think that the score is the star. But if you get lost in these otherworldly performances that are so unnatural, it feels like a bunch of high school students, first-time students, are rehearsing for a play, and they're recording it, and then like it's like, okay, that's a wrap. That's perfect. That's a performance.
I know that like no one gives a great performance in this. The writing is not great. I know it's boring, but I don't know if it's like, is it just the score that is hypnotizing me to as I'm watching this, I'm thinking I'm invested, and I'm like, I want to keep watching, and I want to know what happens next, even though really nothing is happening. It's very basic. It's like, we're trying to lure this woman in to be our new queen of Satan, or, whatever.
Right.
Like, I don't know what
weird.
It is. It's like, it's got this hypnotic element to it.
It's the atmosphere. And then like the first time I saw this, I remember stepping away thinking like, why did I like this so much? I mean, I was conflicted. I was like, the actresses and the actors and the performances are just all wooden and terrible, but I am completely sold. And which is a good thing, because if you stick with it, the ending is the best part of the movie.
Sure.
But it's all about like the atmosphere. It has like these surreal elements, and it's visually, I think it's fun to watch, even if there is really no plot.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to explain this movie.
I think it does come down to, not just the score, but the visual elements. So there's that moment towards the end, like the post wine drinking fever dream with all the gel lighting and stuff like that. The wallpaper, I'm sorry, I'm going to say wallpaper like 50 times in this episode, because I want to live inside of 1970s wallpaper.
Yeah, it's like mirrored, reflected wallpaper. So it's amazing.
I mean, even in the hallways of some random fucking New York apartment building. You walk in and there's just like fucking maroon and gold shiny fucking wallpaper. It's beautiful and I want to live in it, and I hate my dumb beige wall right now.
I bet Damiano's salon was gorgeous. He probably was like, no, let's pull this wallpaper from Legacy of Satan and put it all over my walls.
Oh, it's so good. But
yeah, that scene where they drink the drug liquid, that's my favorite scene, where Maya starts kind of tripping down the hallway and those weird druid guys are kind of standing there drooling, and that's like the most unsettling part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe knowing that Damiano is the director, and there are hints of like these sexual escalations, like you're kind of waiting for it. You know, maybe me personally, like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And it never happens. And yeah, I'm completely sold. I'm invested, but taking a step back, it's like, did I just black out for 70 minutes? Like, what happened? Like, I feel like it's almost like a drug. Like you're kind of put just in a weird mindset watching this thing, which I really love. It's
like you remember certain elements of it, but if someone is like, retell the story, you'd be like, there's some writhing, and then the eyes of a painting bleed, and then a guy in a jester costume has a glowing sword.
There's I think there's some Satanism, or maybe it's vampire. I don't know what's happening. Are there vampires in this? Like, it's all I remember is the music kicked ass. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know, but I can still hear the fucking music, and it's great.
Yeah, you did say that, you know, maybe the script and, you know, Damiano doesn't write very well. There are some pretty funny, memorable quotes in this thing.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as you have that huge, long dialogue from the high priestess in the beginning, the first line is, "Here comes the booze," and Maya's coming down. Also, a scene I like is when Maya first starts having like these visions when they're doing the ritual and she's asleep and moaning for a long time in her sleep. And George is just not waking up for a long time. Like, if I hear that, I'm waking up and like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, but where she says, "Feel the warmth," it's kind of like a taste the rainbow.
Ew.
I know.
Lance.
And George is like, okay, like he's sold at that point. That's when I realized George might have a pulse. Like, okay, he might be a good guy.
He might, but it's almost like a joke on us at the end when, you know, he's put into this jester costume with this like goofy glowing sword that, did someone read Tolkien? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah. Yeah. Damiano's like, how are we going to wrap this up? We'll give him Sting. Let's give him the blade that Frodo has. Like, what? But I want, as soon as the sword just casually, you know, you get a hint. Aurelia has like it in a case. You don't know what's in it. But he just pops up and pulls it out. And you're like, what? Where did this fucking come from?
Yeah.
I want more of this. The ending is just completely unhinged. Doesn't make sense like the whole movie, but it's very kind of entertaining and fast paced. And then Doctor, getting back to the makeup of, what was his name? Brumberger. Dr. Moldavo. What a name. His face reminds me of Dead Ricky from Dreamstalker.
Oh, it does.
It's like fake pussy, and it's just the face. It stops clean at the neck, and it's great makeup. Well, poorly done, but fun to look at.
And I don't know if that was supposed to be like burn makeup, because George took the sword and tapped him on the head with it, and then he fell over the balcony. And I'm like, and then his face is burned. I'm like, is it burned? Is it cut? I don't know what's happening.
I'm assuming like once it's touched, the power of the sword has the way of the power of just eating away, and it's like a disease. It defeats the whole purpose, because that's kind of what is hinted on at the end.
Yeah, that's
with
true.
Maya.
Yeah, she's got the ugly face now too.
Which I love that. It's like an art house, you know, Euro like just this horror artsy ending, this freeze frame of her. I actually love the ending.
Yeah. And
then that great kind of wavy animated end credits, the end pops up.
It has those Euro horror sensibilities to it for sure. It's especially at the end, that the fever dream sequence. It has some, and I think that's probably why like I walk away from it and think like, I like that. I know it's not great.
Right.
I know it's not even very good, but I do like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of, especially those last 15 minutes. It's like completely pitch black rooms and just kind of Moldavo's gross face and just, yeah, it's very artsy and just fun to watch.
Yeah. It's not for everyone, for sure. And I understand like why some people are like, this sucks, or they're bored by it. Like I get it, but to me, it's hypnotic, and I fell under its trance.
I did too. I mean, I didn't enjoy it as much the second time I watched it.
Mhm.
I think it's made, I mean, a lot of movies are like this, but it plays much better in a crowded theater.
Sure.
Like I remember kind of being, again, confused why I liked it, but loving it when we watched it in 35 millimeter. There are much better attempts at satanic cult and, orgy party ideas out there. But I would recommend it. I would watch it again. And the cast is terrible. And I think that's a big endearing quality about it. All these first time one and done cast members is just interesting.
I think if I watch it again, I would hope it would be the 35 millimeter print.
Right.
Terror Tuesday. I don't know if I want to watch this again on Tubi.
Yeah. Tubi. But yeah, the fact that this is Damiano's only non-hardcore film too makes it very interesting. I do enjoy his hardcore films more though.
Yep. Same.
So
double feature pick.
Double feature pick. So a lot of movies kind of popped up in my head. Romero's Season of the Witch, Hungry Wives, with the unsatisfied wife. The Love Witch, I enjoy that film, but it's way too long for what it is. It overstays its welcome. It should be like an hour, 20 minutes instead of the 2 hours it is. Ted V. Michael's Blood Orgy of the She-Devils. I even thought of Roberta Finlay's Primeval, just because of the whole Satan cult aspect. But I landed on The Devil's Lover from 1972.
Okay.
Starring the perfect Rosalba Neri, directed by Paolo Lombardo. It's about a group of friends who stay a night in an old castle that's rumored to be where the devil once lived. And one of the women, Rosalba Neri, begins having these visions of living centuries ago. And the devil appears and starts seeking her companionship. So, like Legacy of Satan, it's very dreamy with a fantastic score, by the way. That's kind of the most memorable thing about it, other than Rosalba Neri. But it's plotless. It's arguably poorly made. Day switches to night in some scenes and vice versa. The whole thing actually feels like the one scene in Legacy of Satan where Maya and Dr. Moldavo are kind of talking outside. And he says, "You will glory in my power." That weird kind of outdoor scene. That's the whole movie. That's Devil's Lover. It's also quite short, only 78 minutes. So yeah, I think a senseless, dreamy, visuals with great sound effects, music playing over the devil seeking a woman, has hints of Satanism and vampirism in it. Seven released this in that Italian Gothic collection. But I would go with The Devil's Lover.
Excellent.
What about you?
Only one movie came to mind because it meant I could finally pick a double feature movie with goat fucking. Black Candles, 1982, directed by Jose Ramon Larraz.
Hell yeah.
I've been waiting to pick this one for a double feature. It's about a young woman who she goes to England with her boyfriend or husband. I don't remember. Anyway, her brother died and she's staying with his wife or sister-in-law. And she finds like they all sort of get drawn into this satanic, very, very horny satanic cult that's based in the house. And very basic plot, just like this one. Satanic undertones, Euro horror sensibility. I mean, it is Euro horror, so not sensibilities, actual Euro horror. And goat fucking, I'm sorry. It's just like, that's how you make a satanic movie.
Sold.
Yeah, I just, that's just how you got to do it. I'm sorry. You either show me naked Rosalba Neri or you have goat fucking. That's how you make a satanic movie.
Agreed.
All right. Next movie, Lance.
Next movie. Time for an Alan Smithy movie.
Fucking hell.
We've done this once before.
Have we? Oh,
Blood-sucking
Pharaohs
Pharaohs
in Pittsburgh. Yeah. That's right. He
this
took
one,
his name off of it.
Yeah. This one, same type of situation. It's called Appointment with Fear from 1985. It's a fascinating movie with a very, very troubled production history. The plot doesn't really make any sense.
Okay.
So I'm going to read it. I'm going to read a few summaries that are out there.
Okay.
One off of, what do we got? IMDb, which is, it should pique the interest of some of our listeners, but just take it with a grain of salt because none of this is really accurate.
Okay.
A man under the influence of an ancient Egyptian curse uses astral projection to kill those who protect his baby son from him. A woman and a shady cop try to stop him before he can get to the child and transfer the curse. What? Huh?
You're picking another Egyptian horror, based horror movie.
Possibly. Listen to the Letterboxd synopsis because it's great. This is the tagline. Trapped in a world where death is not the end. Mustafa Akkad, the man who brought you Halloween.
Okay.
This is his production. He invites you to keep an appointment with fear. According to legend, Addis, king of the woods, sacrificed his child to keep his own spirit alive and free to wander the earth at will. Appointment with fear casts this evil in contemporary terms. Can a group of free-spirited teenagers and an inquisitive detective save a dying woman's infant from being Addis's next victim? The suspense is unrelenting as they and you keep an appointment with fear. Like that one probably sums it up best because it's like, who the fuck wrote this? And it doesn't make sense. So I'm thoroughly confused and entertained at this point.
Okay.
Are you?
Wait, which one is more accurate? Neither?
Neither. This thing is such a mind fuck. Like we're talking about Legacy of Satan having no plot.
Yeah.
There is probably multiple attempts at a plot that is just edited and cut away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So-
Wait, are there dead kids in this?
There are no dead kids in it. I don't think so. I watched this earlier in the year and I kind of fell in love with how senseless it was.
You would have told me earlier if they were.
Yeah, it was like something I saw. I had on my list as a potential pick and I watched it and I was like, there's no way we're going to talk about this crappy movie. And then I was, perusing Letterboxd and I read a review that was just as interesting as the movie itself. And it was written by Sam Panico, our friend from
Sam.
BNS Movies, about movies. So he will be joining us for this episode.
Oh, thank God.
Yes. Get all your notes ready, Sam, because I don't know what the fuck's going on. But yeah, producer Akkad, he was very unhappy with the original director. He decided to reshoot extra scenes, change the whole movie, which you will see and feel as you watch it.
All right.
It has 257 views on Letterboxd, and it's available on YouTube, which we'll share the link on the show notes.
Okay.
But I hope you're ready for Appointment with Fear.
I won't cancel it. I'll keep it. I promise. I don't want to pay the penalty if I cancel.
Don't cancel it, because if you do, you'll have to reschedule Appointment with Fear.
Or pay $100.
Yeah, there will be a charge, cancellation charge.
Well, I'm looking forward to having Sam. We've been meaning to have him on for a while, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have him on.
Awesome. All right. If you're not already, you can follow this podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors. I'm on Letterboxd, Instagram, and Twitter at Hex Massacre.
I'm on Letterboxd and Instagram at Schibi.
Links in show notes for Horror Gives Back stuff. Join our Discord for that. I have less than 25 books left. There's a link in show notes for you to buy a copy of the book. By the time this episode comes out, I think the only ones I'll have left are dinged copies. So they got like a little bit of spine damage, but
not bad.
It's inside that counts, folks.
Yeah.
Keep that rule.
Yeah. Once you read it a couple of times, like I have, my copy looks worse than these. So.
What else? That should be it. Yeah. Horror Gives Back. Please join us for that. Starts October 1st. And we'll see you back next episode. Keep your appointment with fear with us.
There you go.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
I am Adam Lundy, co-host of They Live by Film, a podcast dedicated to bringing you film discussion and interviews from around the world. Every week, my co-hosts Chris Haskell, Zach Bryant and I discuss a wide range of films, from monumental classics like Vertigo and The Rules of the Game, to the craziest, schlockiest movies ever made like Deathbed and everything in between. We are also lucky enough to have sat down with some of the biggest players in the boutique Blu-ray and film restoration game. If this is your thing, then come hang out with us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, wherever you normally stream your podcasts, and now as part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.